Hi guys, it's Dead Ponic again. I another one of these ones. I hate doing these, but they're unfortunately a necessary thing. I don't know if you guys knew about this. I just found out like literally minutes ago, but Mr. Bernard Hill, he sadly passed away in the early hours of this Sunday actually morning. Believe it or not, as I'm recording this. Uh, I'm in complete shock. I didn't even know. And it was like, oh, wait, Bernard Hill, he was the one who played King Theoden in Lord of the Rings. And he also played the captain in Titanic. It was like, wow. Um, I'm in absolute shock. I mean, now, I didn't know the actor personally, but I felt his effects throughout the movies he's been in, at least the ones I've seen. I think for me, the film that really resonated with me in terms of him specifically was definitely Lord of the Rings because he was introduced in Two Towers, and the way he plays the kind of the sickly old man who's kind of he's fallen under a shadow, as the term is called. And then, when Gandalf comes to confront him and he just like kind of lights up, and it's the way Bernard Hill plays the possessed person. It's a very subtle thing. It I don't know if they actually did this, but I'm pretty sure that they when just before Gandalf takes off his cloak and reveals Gandalf the White, he says, "You have no power here, Gandalf the Grey." I think he was channeling Christopher Lee. It could be that Christopher Lee was, channeling through him in that way, and Saruman was doing that. But it was very interesting how they dubbed Saruman's voice over Bernard Hill, and he did it so flawlessly. It was brilliant. And then as soon as he's cured, the first person he sees is Eowyn, and his whole world just lights up again, and he's like, "Oh my god, what has happened to me?" kind of thing. And it's also in those moments where like we see that he is absolutely a wonderful king because his people love him. He's well respected. He is, well, even Aragorn, who, granted, Theoden was just justified in trying to kill Wormtongue, but Aragorn convinces him to let him go because enough blood has been spilt on his behalf, and it's like, I mean, yeah, sure, letting him go is the smart thing to do because it's not like, it's gonna come back and bite you in the ass, which, yeah, of course it does, but it also shows that, Theoden is willing to listen to reason despite it being in a, the adrenaline's going. It's like, you worm, you poisoned me, you basically brought me to my knees. As he says, your leechcraft would have had me crawling on all fours like a beast. And yeah, there's that. And then his true, moment to shine really is at the end of the near the end of the movie when they're pushed to the brink, and it's like he's like, what can men do against such reckless hate? And he's like, you know what? And he sees like the sun rises, and then Theoden's like, hey, if we're gonna go out, we're gonna go out with a bang. And he says my favorite line, the horn of Helm Hammerhand shall sound in the deep one last time, and then he gives like this rousing speech. Fell deep, or how does it go? Fell deeds awake, now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red dawn, and he puts on the helmet. It's the way that Bernard said that, and I think he was channeling his stage roots there. And then he says Forth Analingus, but it really comes to the third film, Return of the King, where he really shows like his leadership in terms of, and Bernard does such a good job where he's like, hey, we're going into into battle and we're facing certain death and we're literally chanting death, and it's like, yeah, we're not afraid. And that's where, well, obviously Aragorn's influence comes in, but it's Bernard's really, it's his phenomenal acting, and then also in his last moments, Theoden's like, yeah, I no longer can be seen with like, dishonor among my fathers, and I'm like, it's like, yeah, you kind of feel, you feel a little bit sad. You feel sad because he's gone now, and in the books, Aramir takes over, but I actually like how they handled Theoden's death in the movies, and also to kind of backtrack a little bit. What's the other thing? The other thing I really like also is that it's just one of those things that I really enjoy. I just love Bernard's performance. I mean, all the actors were absolutely incredible in those movies. And now going on to Titanic, it was only like maybe a couple of years ago that I found out that he was in Titanic. He played the captain. He plays the captain like so well, and despite some of the historical inaccuracies in the movie, and the whole thing with like Rose and Jack's love story, which was kind of the main focus, but in reality, I actually enjoyed his performance, and that inevitability that, yeah, the ship's gonna sink, and I might as well go out with honor, and the way he like kind of embraces that, and he's like, he just literally stares death in the face, and it's like, you could tell that Bernard was clearly channeling like his stage roots, and he was very happy to play that role. Believe it or not, he was actually in a Clint Eastwood movie called True Crime, and he said that was one of his favorite roles, as well as being Lord of the Rings. And my other favorite bit is where in Lord of the Rings, when when Aragorn and him are talking about the orcs and they're coming and all that, he says, "Look at my men; their courage hangs by a thread." And then he says, "And who will come? Elves, dwarves. We are not so lucky in our friends. The old alliances are dead." And then he talks about where's Gondor, and where was Gondor when the Westfold fell? Where was Gondor when our enemies closed in around us? And he says, "No, we're alone." And then it's just like, yeah, it was brilliant. And then in the third film, in the extended edition, he shows his quality, and he says he forgives Grima and says, "Come down, Grima, and be free of him." And he says, "We will have peace when you answer for the burning of the Westfold." And man, it was wonderful to see. And I'm just really sad that he's gone. And I hope that, at least before I finish off, I hope that whenever I do these, whenever I talk about the actors and their roles and how they play them, I hope that everybody can appreciate their legacy and how they portrayed the character, and how like they're not forgotten, and that they will never be forgotten. And I hope that my work here at least can cement that. So thank you, Bernard, and I hope wherever you are at least smiling along with all the greats. And I hope you and Betty White are having a field day talking, and just I hope you guys are doing what you're doing best, which is just leaving an impression. And I hope you are smiling upon us, at least knowing that your legacy is cemented and it will never be forgotten. And I hope that you are at least at peace. So thank you, and may you rest in peace.